There is no place to hide in the midday sun, and no task to avoid or pass on to others, and no facade, nothing to misrepresent about the soil, the fertile plain, and the wide open sky. We were all equal under nature and all at the mercy of the elements, farmer and farmhand alike. My only tool was a bean hook, like a scythe, but with a small blade for precision. It had a wooden handle I held barehanded. It was too hot for gloves all day. The open expansive field would scale back to human size by the end of every row. I could see individual stems of the crop again, the dirt on my gym shoes, the dips and tire tracks in the bare earth between the truck and me, and I could count the paces to my water bottle. I drank to my refreshment, wiped the sweat from my forehead, and adjusted my Cubs hat for the next trip out and back. The sun beat down on my thinly covered white skin. I wore only a t-shirt with a bikini top underneath for later, when it was blazing hot. I thought I was out there for a tan. We were teenagers, children of the black soil. No one lived more than 5 miles from the edge of the cornfield. We all did some time on the land, even if we'd never been out there before. It was most kids' first job. For me, it was third. Most kids detasseled corn, but I never did. I walked beans for 3 weeks in July. No matter where I've worked in my life, there has always been an out and back. Front of house, back of house, showroom and warehouse, kitchen and dining room, foyer and mudroom, a body dressed for the day ahead and the same body laid to rest. I have never worked in one without the other. Those who serve are always the bridge. We uphold the fragile structure of facade, but importantly, never forget that facade is a fragile structure. My passage through curtains and doors, from means to end, from effort to reward, betrayed my loyalty to bootstrapping, but my true loyalty was to my body, which needed to be in motion, active and alive, to feel my achievements in my bones and sleep more soundly at night. I like to be out there on stage, at the front of the house, in the light of day, but I do enjoy the solace, the escape and release, the inner peace I feel when my work is complete. I have carried babies, old ladies, trays, props, set pieces, papers, books, cameras, lights, cleaning supplies, vacuum cleaners, garbage, kegs of beer, wedding hors d'oeuvres, and chandeliers. There is always some observer who has anxiety that everything is not perfectly right, and there is always a sense of relief that for everything not perfectly right, there is always a back room to hide. On the farm there was none of that. Time was aligned with the task, 1 row up, 1 row back, water at the truck and then out again. I was on the job with my friend Karen on her boyfriend's farm, but out in the field, each row was a solitary enterprise. There was all the time in the world for talking, but no one to talk to but myself. Nothing but corn and soybeans as far as the eye could see. I heard detasseling was brutal. The leaves of corn would cut you, and you had to reach for the tassels. They'd pick up a whole bus full of kids, not just 2 or 3. And tall corn is disorienting, claustrophobic, with no concept of beginning or end once you're in it, just in it until it's over, like some trauma to withstand. In comparison to detasseling, walking beans was easier. With crops no more than waist high, the work was a more sustained test of endurance, to feel my small and meaningless body exposed, and to know my own next steps were the only hope for salvation from evaporation and paralysis in the face of the task at hand, to weed the biggest garden without withering at the enterprise. A day equaled some number of rows. The farmer counted and knew. I didn't bother. I just went until the sky said it was enough, until my 17-year-old body felt close to my limits, and the farmer felt the right amount of progress had been made without killing us. Then and only then were we allowed the comfort of afternoon shade. That summer I had it made. I got laid by 2 of my high school crushes, danced in a shit performance at the Miller Park Pavilion, went to the Illinois Shakespeare Festival for all 3 open-air productions, attended a writer's workshop at Illinois Wesleyan, bleached my punk hair blonde, and packed up for college at the University of Illinois. My depression was gone. I had the best body of my life and a golden tan I may live to regret someday. My friend Karen, her farmer boyfriend, and I dropped his boat in the Peoria River, got high, drank beer, and watched the 4th of July fireworks. We went to the Illinois State Fair in Springfield to watch Rockford's own Cheap Trick rock the arena. Surrender, Dream Police, I Want You to Want Me. I ate ears of salted, buttered, amazing sweet corn at the McLean County Corn Festival, left my Duran Duran posters on my bedroom wall, and hit the road in the sorriest-looking, rusty yellow Chevy Nova you've ever seen, primed for new adventures. My first job had been as a waitress at Steak and Shake. Actually, my first job was delivering penny savers on Wednesdays and finding out exactly how many scary-ass dogs lived in my neighborhood. That job barely counts because I was afraid of dogs and had enough after 2 months. My second job was at Steak and Shake. I fell in love with Doug the fry cook, and he broke my heart, so I had to keep moving. Walking beans was the third job I ever had, and it sure as hell put my life into perspective for a minute. Soybeans are beautiful, lush, and leafy plants. So are thick green columns of corn reaching to the sky. We didn't think about them much because living in town you might only catch the scent of processing. Processing corn, soybeans, Purina pet food, that all smelled like death to me. But out in the field, the huge Midwestern expanse of cropland, standing 20 minutes into a row of soybeans, it was all green and thriving in the Midwestern sun. All due respect to corn, but if you were corn in a bean field, you had to go. I pushed the corn hook past each stalk and yanked it back towards me to cut it down. The corn fell unceremoniously to the ground, and I stepped forward to the next offender. Sometimes I looked up to find myself in the middle of the vast field, probably moderately sized by any comparison, and I felt my body so tired, sweaty, and blistered, and I realized that this was a whole different gig, a whole different life to farm the land. To stand alone under the infinite sky and rarely stop to marvel, amidst the silence, the soul journey, the uniformity of green and the certainty of each row beginning and ending as intended, the baking heat and longed-for shade, the visible effects of invisible pesticide, targeting some green and letting others thrive. This place was teeming with life. There were birds in flight, a few crickets in the morning, bees and flies building to the drone of cicadas in the afternoon. There was the passage of time and how 9 a.m. felt so different from 3. I could see it in the quality of light. My bare skin felt how the morning dew had burned off the leaves only to settle densely in the same air above it, and how we all hungered for a cooler breeze to sweep the humidity from our sun-blistered skin. I had no protection for my eyes, trained towards the ground to find the corn among the beans and take it down. Now, the farmhouse I never knew anything about. I never knew the contents of a barn or the tools in the shed, let alone the workings of a farm budget or inventory. But I have learned about production and bringing labor to market and how to play by house rules, and I remember a wide open field of soybeans may be contained, but it answers to nature every day. The field doesn't give a shit about house rules. On a farm, your boss may or may not make your job easier for you. There is certainly an out and back in the fields. But out is a confrontation with your creator, and back is the solace of small human comforts. What happens to the farmhand in your labor is between you and the universe, whatever you believe. There you must answer to the test of your physical limits, to your nature, to your beliefs, and to your understanding of your place among all that is. If you don't have a God, and I didn't then, you still have the greatness of everything that's not you. It is humbling. It also puts the power of any one human into perspective. I think laborers in the field understand you don't answer to anyone more than to the great expanse. We are all little specks holding meaningless power over each other throughout our lives. We will always surrender, and nature will always abide. Even so, we set forth with pride until the time comes to settle back, to break, to rest, to find the spot in the shade, and to finish the test.